so that we can start. Let me push the record button.
Recording in progress.
Okay. So I'm going to take you some lectures, this lecture series. This is Biology 1 now according to the new terminology. These lectures are called Biology 1. And then, so I'm taking about 15 lectures on this. And I'm Professor Parakrama Karunaratne I'm a senior professor from the University of Peradeniya. So I have got 2 messages in the chat. What is that? Okay. Okay. So it says that you can hear me. Okay. Now, let us start this lecture series. Okay. So biology is the study of living organisms and their interactions with the environment. So that is what you call biology. You must have learned some biology when you were doing O-level exams. So for the O-level, you did science. So in that science, some biology was there. So let us refresh that knowledge. And also maybe you are doing now this time in English medium. Previously you may have done in Sinhala medium. It doesn't matter. I am not trying to give you lot of words. Only few essential words will be given. And so this biology, the word has come from bios and logos. So this is in Greek. Why in Greek? At that time, when the science was developing, at that time, the language in that area was Latin and Greek. So most of the scientific words you find the root is Latin or Greek. So biology means in Greek, bios means life, logos means study, so biology means study of life. So basically it is the study of living organisms and their interactions with the environment. Scope of biological sciences, you know very well how important the biological sciences are. Now you are doing some, maybe you are doing some other course which apparently has no relation to biology. But we all must understand that you are doing all these courses, degree programs and all those things, science, just to make the human life more comfortable, right? To improve the quality of human life. So when you try to improve the quality of human life, you have definitely, you should know what is the human life and what is life. So it is very important that you know some biology. But in this course, I'm not trying to give you a big course of biology, but I'm trying to tell you is the essential things in biology. So it is not going to be a hard course. We have made this to simplified. I have simplified this course very much so that only the principles and important things are included here. And the scope of biological sciences, that means what are the use if you take medicine is an important field of biology, you know, through the medicine, through medicine we all get diseases and causes we find out. What is the cause of the disease we find out from science, biological science, and the diseases and how to cure all these things, how the body react to the different chemicals and all these things we study because we need biology for this. And then nowadays we do a lot of genetic engineering and biotechnology, that is to improve the version of life. Recombinant DNA improves the genome of an organism. I will come to these things later on. So just remember that there are a lot of applications. And also you know agricultural studies, lot of agricultural studies, because with the growing population, we need to feed them. To feed them, we need food. Now the land amount, the land area is decreasing. When the population increase, They put up more and more houses, and you see the land area available for agriculture is decreasing. So we need to go for genetically modified food. So that is what we are going. We will discuss all these things later on. This is just to show you. So for agricultural studies, you need to understand how the plants form and function, what is the structure and how they perform and their behavior. And also we study agricultural pests. So all those things are biology. Also industries such as there are a lot of industries using the uh, animals and plants products as raw materials. Food industry, textile, dairy industry, leather industry, paper industry, all these use animal and plant products as raw materials. And also there are new branches like bioinformatics. It is the study of biology with computer science. So it's very, very popular now, bioinformatics. So, to apply bioinformatics, you should know biology, basic biology. You should know some understanding should be there. So the whole idea of teaching this course or making this course available in your syllabus is to give you the basic principles of this biology. And ecologists and environmental scientists, these are very hot topics these days, climate change and things. Ecology and environment are very, very important to conserve the biosphere. So these things also you will learn the basic principles. And nowadays another developing area is forensic science. So you see in the crime site or crime scenes, all these DNA and the DNA is is playing an important role. So you collect material and extract DNA in order to find the culprits. So there are a lot of scopes, and I have stated here very few. So let us go to the basic science. So what are the difference between the living organism and non-living matter? For example, what is the difference between your dog and the chair? So the dog has movement, responsiveness, growth, reproduction, respiration. These things the chair doesn't have. Digestion, absorption, circulation, the blood circulation, assimilation, and excretion. So these are only the living organisms do these things. Non-living organisms such as chair or the table, they don't do. So that we say these are characteristics, features of living organisms. They show movements, they respond to the environment, they show growth, they have the ability for reproduction. They do respire, take oxygen and expel carbon dioxide. They can do the digestion, absorption, circulation, assimilation, and excretion. So these are features which are characteristic features of living organisms. So we are the next topic. First topic of what I want to discuss with you today is the chemical nature of life. How the body is made up of. What are the chemicals? I know you are not very familiar with, some of you are not very familiar with chemistry, but I assume that you have some basic knowledge in chemistry. You know carbon, C, the symbol we give, and you know hydrogen and oxygen. Okay. The life basically has these three elements: carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. And in our body, there are a lot of small molecules and big molecules. Small molecules are called micromolecules. Micro is again coming from Latin Greek. This micro means small. Macro means big. So small molecules there are a lot of small molecules like sodium chloride, the salt, and sodium chloride, ammonium sulfate. So these are small molecules. Water is also a small molecule. But there are macromolecules, big molecules. Now these big molecules we can divide into four major groups. They are carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, and nucleic acids. Four types of macromolecules: carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, and nucleic acids. So what I said here is that life is basically made up of major three elements are there: carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. And in any living organism, you find macromolecules, very big molecules, and these very big molecules are of four types: carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, and nucleic acids. So now I'm going to tell you some of the basic features of these macromolecules. So firstly, we look at carbohydrates. So carbohydrate is the main source of energy of the body. Correct. It has simple sugars and complex sugars. Simple sugars, if you take, they are called monosaccharides. Monosaccharides, mono means one saccharide, that molecule, one molecule, that is monosaccharide. For example, glucose. Now, glucose can provide lot of energy for immediate use. For immediate use, it gives energy. Now, there are complex sugars, simple sugar and complex sugar. So, monosaccharide, disaccharide, polysaccharide. Mono means one unit, di means two units, poly means several units. So monosaccharide has only one unit, one structure. So one unit means one structure. I'll show you the structures later. Monosaccharide, for example, is glucose. Well, I'll go to that structure as well. So you can see the structure. This is the glucose. Don't worry about these structures. You don't need to remember these structures, but just remember the picture. This is you can see simply glucose. What I'm trying to see is that show you is that glucose is a one unit, one circle, one ring of carbon. If the two rings come together, we call it disaccharide. If several rings come together, then we call it polysaccharide. Monosaccharide, disaccharide, and polysaccharide. Mono is one, di two, poly means several. Examples I have given: glucose, you all know glucose. Disaccharide, sucrose. Sucrose is the normal sugar we take. Sugar, the brown sugar, white sugar we take and we put it to our tea. So that is sucrose. And glycogen is a stored product in our body, human body, so animal body. It is polysaccharide. It is a polysaccharide. Okay, we'll go back to our story. So we have simple sugar and complex sugar. Simple sugar is monosaccharides. Glucose, example, this can provide lots of energy for immediate use. You know, for immediate use, if you want energy, you give glucose. It is very, because for example, in a running event, if you want to give the player a quick energy, players are given glucose just before the game, right? Because glucose can provide energy for immediate use. Complex sugars, so just before the game or the play, we don't give our sugar. Normal sugar we don't give because it cannot give it cannot immediately give you energy, right? It has to break down because it got two molecules. It has to break down one and one. Two are together, no? So, right. So disaccharides too, that is sucrose and maltose and fructose, another example. Polysaccharides. In animals, these polysaccharides means several units have come together. In animals, you get glycogen. In plants, you find starch. Starch, you know, right? And they can provide stored energy. They can provide stored energy. They also can be later converted to monosaccharide. These can be broken down into monosaccharide, broken down to single units, and then can be used for energy. So that you can see these can be broken down and used for energy. So these act as storages. So the glucose can be stored as in animals they store as glycogen. In plants, this is stored as starch. Excess carbohydrates in the body will be converted and stored in the body as fats. Now what I'm trying to say is, if you eat lot of carbohydrates, you eat lot of rice or bread or noodles or pasta, the body will use it, store it as monosaccharide or disaccharide or polysaccharide. But if there are more and more, the body will convert them to fat. So even though you don't eat fat, these through these carbohydrates you can get fat, right? Okay. So this I have already shown you. Okay. This is a diagram I took from this Campbell Biology book 2021. So this shows that the person in his garden with some potato plants and potato in his hands. So this basically shows three types of stored carbohydrates in this same picture. So this potato have these kind of chains and glucose monomers, but several have come together to make a polysaccharide. This polysaccharide is called starch. And in the person's hand, this hand tissue, muscle tissue, if you take the muscle tissue, you can find glycogen granules because glycogen is a stored carbohydrate in animals. These glycogen granules, if you expand it, you can see the molecular structure, and again these are polysaccharides, right? Several glucose units. So these are called glycogen. And in the plant, nearby plant, this herb, right? It's a plant. If you take plant cells are there. Now in plant cells, cell walls are there. If you take a cell wall, you all know that cell wall you find cellulose. In plants you find cellulose. Cellulose is also polysaccharide. So that also have a lot of these units, glucose units. So in this picture, you can the three stored three polysaccharide types are shown. Okay, so next we will go to fats. Now fats again has carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. They can be used as energy when carbohydrate levels are low, right? So that is why we say that when you have a huge body, that you can face any starvation, right? Because they may, after using all the carbohydrates, they can go for their fat, right? All available carbohydrate, then they can go for fat. So fat can also be used as an energy when carbohydrate levels are low. If you can remember, just now I said, if you eat more and more carbohydrate, they will be converted to fat. So these fat can be later, if you need, it will be converted to carbohydrates, and can be used as energy for energy purpose. So that is why they say if you are very fat, obesity, don't eat too much. Cut down your food. When you cut down your food and carbohydrate, ultimately your fat will start to uh, convert it to carbohydrate, this glucose, and give energy. So then your fat layers are going to be reduced, right? Okay, made up of, now this is the chemical structure. Don't worry too much about these chemical structures, but I'm just going to show you how they looks like in their chemical structure. So this is a fat molecule and it has two major parts. One is glycerol and the other part is fatty acid. So we say that the fat is made up of two parts, fatty acid and glycerol, right? Glycerol and fatty acid. Okay, so that is very simple. The glycerol all mean alcohol. Alcohol, so three OH groups are there. Acid means COOH, it is here. If you don't know much about chemistry, you don't have bother about that. you just remember that it has a structure like this, which has two parts, fatty acid and glycerol. And fats, if you take, you get two types of fats, saturated fats and unsaturated fats. Of these, unsaturated fats are good, but saturated fats are not very good. So for saturated, the example is saturated fats, example, milk, butter, cheese, and meat. In red meat, you get saturated. So in meat also, you get, especially in beef and all, you get saturated fat. So unsaturated, you find in fish and vegetable, or you find unsaturated oil fat. So that fat is good. Saturated fat is not good. And if you take too much of saturated fat, then they can be later converted to cholesterol by the liver. Now this cholesterol, your body produce cholesterol yourself without, even if you don't eat cholesterol, these fats, these things, from body reactions, body also produce cholesterol, but it is only to some extent, because cholesterol also is an important compound for your body functioning. Cholesterol is not a bad one, but the thing is, when you have too much of cholesterol, it starts giving trouble. It starts giving problems. It starts giving coronary diseases. Coronary diseases mean heart attacks. Coronary mean mainly the heart, right? Heart attacks, and it will block the blood vessels. So saturated fatty acids are not good. We have cholesterol. You may know that if your parents have gone to the doctor and take a lipid profile, you see the cholesterol level. There are two types of cholesterols: high density and low density. High density lipids and low density lipids. So high density ones are not good. Sorry, good. Low density ones are not good, because high density one, when the density is high, when you have a big amount, it is not loosely spreaded. Low density one, since the density is low, it can float and spread, and it can easily go and block the blood vessels. So the LDL is not good. High density one is good. So that eating too much fat will lead to obesity, coronary diseases, and heart attacks. So functions of the fats. What are the functions of the fats? Mainly adipose tissue. Adipose tissue is the fat layer beneath the skin. Beneath your skin, there is a fat layer. Now, this you can see in any animal. If you see in beef or pork or whatever in the animals, you can see this fat layer just below the skin. Human also we have. So this act as an insulator. So insulator is to keep the body warm. It act as a barrier for the heat loss, right? So it is good. It acting as an insulator. And also, and this layer, you see, since it is an insulator, in the animals in cold countries, right? Polar, for example, in polar regions, in the animals, there are this fat adipose tissue. That fat layer is very big, because they need it as an insulator to prevent heat loss from the body. And also, fat act as energy stores, right? Fat act as energy stores. Okay, next we will move on to proteins. Proteins, you find carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. In proteins, you find nitrogen also, and also little sulfur. So in addition to carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, you find nitrogen and also little sulfur. So proteins are used to generate energy only when carbohydrate and fat stores are exhausted. So when you generate energy, when you need energy, it is given mainly by carbohydrates. When the carbohydrate level go down, then the fat come, and fat will give. If the fat is also exhausted, then the protein will come to the same. right? So all these food types you find protein, you know that these eggs, fish, meat, and these some fruits are there, and especially these grains, right? Proteins are important working molecules of the body. Now, for our body, protein is very, very important because we have a lot of enzymes. There are a lot of reactions going on in the body. So at the moment, look at me. If you take myself now, I'm talking and I look at my PowerPoint presentation and I'm talking. So I get the whatever the uh, that message signal from my eyes and pass into the brain, and the brain send the messages to my lips, and lips are moving and the sound is coming. There are a whole lot of reactions are going on. All these reactions are controlled by enzymes. So enzymes are very important in the body, right? In the body, and also the proteins, hemoglobin. How important hemoglobin? What is hemoglobin? Hemoglobin is a protein which takes oxygen. When you take the oxygen in, when you breathe in, you take oxygen, and in the lungs, when you breathe in the lungs, the oxygen is given to the pass to the hemoglobin in the blood. So these hemoglobin molecules take the oxygen throughout the body. So hemoglobin is very, very important. And all your muscles are made up of proteins, all your muscles, so that there are so many important functions of proteins. Proteins are very important, so that we call them working molecules of the body. Proteins are the working molecules of the body, right? So enzyme, I said there are approximately 75,000 different enzymes in the human body. To function your body, there's about 75,000 enzymes are involved, right? So all these enzymes are different proteins. So you can see how without these enzymes your body cannot function. So that you see, it is very important, these proteins are. I have just said the metabolic enzymes. All these reactions, metabolism is the two terms come together and make this term metabolism. Anabolism and catabolism. Anabolism means building up processes. Catabolism means breaking down processes. In your body, there are building up reactions. Catabolism means breaking down reactions. So both these collectively we call metabolism. All these reactions are controlled by enzymes, right? So proteins are very important. Now let me talk to you little more about proteins. Now they are, I say, big molecule, big molecules, right? They are big molecules and they are polymers of amino acid, monomers. Now these things can be, for example, this is a monomer, amino acid 1, amino acid 2. There are 20 different amino acids. So these amino acids come together and remove a water molecule and make a bond. This bond is called a peptide bond. So in other words, two beads, you know what a bead? You take a beaded chain around the neck. What is a beaded chain? What you call, in Sinhala we call pabalumale. If you take a pabalumale, these are two pabalu, two beads. Two beads you can join by removing a water molecule, and this bond is called peptide bond. Likewise, you can bind more and more pabalu to this chain. When it is a chain, it is an amino acid chain. Now these pabalu, you have 20 different colors. That means 20 different types of amino acids are there. I have just given you 1 and 2. So since they have 20 different, just suppose that you have 20 different color, the beads you have, or pabalu in 20 different colors, then what happens? Then you can make various chains with various colors. Likewise, 20 different amino acids, when they can make so many different proteins where in different combinations, right? They join each other through peptide bonds, right? Now these chains are made in the human body in a special cellular organelle. I will come to this later. These places are called ribosomes. Ribosomes means it's a organelle or structure in subcellular structure, in structure inside the cell. These ribosomes, the proteins are synthesized. We synthesize these pabalumala, all these pabalumala, we synthesize. So that it is a separate topic, protein synthesis. We will do that later. But just now, you need to remember that proteins are polymers. Polymers made out of monomers. Now, if you can remember carbohydrates, starch is a polymer. It is a polysaccharide made up of monosaccharides. Polysaccharide made up of monosaccharides. Because starch is a monomer, they are the one unit is called monomer, right? The big chain is called polymer, right? One unit is monomer. So there are, in this case, amino acid is a monomer. So this amino acid, there are 20 different types. These are synthesized in ribosomes. I have just given you an example. This is a primary structure of a protein. Proteins are synthesized like this. This is like a pabalumala, right? It is like a pabalumala, a chain of amino acids. A chain of amino acids. Now, 20 different amino acids can contribute to this chain. This is the primary structure of a protein. The protein, that structure can be folded further to make a secondary structure. This secondary structure can be folded further to give a tertiary structure. This tertiary structure can also be folded again to give a quaternary structure. Don't worry too much about these things. You just have to remember few things here. Right? What are the things you need to remember? You need to remember proteins are polymers made up of, yes, amino acid monomers. Amino acid is the monomer. That is a single unit. So there are 20 different amino acids. They come together and bind together through a bond, which is called peptide bond. And when they bind like this, they can make a polypeptide chain. This is called a polypeptide chain, and because a lot of peptide bonds, polypeptide chain. And this simple structure is called primary structure. It can be to make the final protein. It fold and then make a secondary structure. Fold again to make a tertiary structure. Fold further to make a quaternary structure. That's all you have to remember, right? Because these are basic things you should know how the proteins are in different structures. Okay. Then we go to the next topic, that is nucleic acids. Now, nucleic acids is the genetic materials. Nucleic, this name has come because the name is given because these are at the early stage of the science, that the science developed, these they found first in the nucleus of a cell. Nucleus of a cell. So that what is a nucleus and things I will show you later. That is why this term has come, nucleic acids. These are the genetic material. So we inherit our characters. We send our characters to the next generation through these nucleic acids. There are two types of nucleic acids, DNA and RNA. DNA is deoxyribonucleic acid. DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid. RNA is ribonucleic acid. Ribonucleic acid and DNA is deoxy. Deoxy is actually one oxygen is less. That is why deoxy. Okay. DNA is deoxyribonucleic acid. RNA is ribonucleic acid. And they are They are also, these are big molecules. That is how I started this topic. There are four types of big molecules: carbohydrates, fats, proteins, and nucleic acids. We have finished talking about carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. Now I am talking about the last one, that is nucleic acids. These are big molecules. These are big molecules because these are polymers. Polymers, they are made up of small units. These small units are called monomers. In this case, nucleic acids are polymers. The small unit, monomer unit, is called nucleotide. This nucleotide unit, if you take, it is made up of three parts: a phosphate group, a deoxy, for example, this is DNA, right? A sugar, phosphate, sugar, and base. And in deoxyribose nucleic acid, sugar is deoxyribose. Ribonucleic acid, sugar is ribose. So it is two different names comes, but you can just simply remember phosphate, sugar, and base. This is a structure of a monomer. These monomers come together and make a chain like this. Now this chain is called polynucleotide chain. This chain is polynucleotide chain. They have come together, right? These monomer units have come together to make a polymer, big molecule, right? Okay. And if you take, this is the basic structure. I told you sugar, base, and phosphate. This base especially has nitrogenous and nitrogen. That is why they call nitrogenous base. Okay, so nucleotide. So you get in DNA and RNA. Actually, you can see here, in addition to carbon and hydrogen and oxygen, you find here nitrogen and phosphorus in these nucleic acids. In addition to carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, you find nitrogen and phosphorus in this case, right? Okay, in DNA, the sugar is deoxyribose. Nitrogenous bases there are four types: cytosine, guanine, adenine, and thymine. I will come to those things later. You don't have to worry too much about that now. So DNA is usually double-stranded. All these double-stranded you can remember like that. But there are cases single-stranded ones as well, the exceptional cases. RNA is single-stranded. Sugar here is ribose. This sugar is ribose sugar. Here DNA, it is deoxyribose. Nitrogenous bases, you see CGAU instead of T here, you get U in uracil in RNA. They are single-stranded. So this, I will come back to this topic in DNA, RNA later. When we do cell, nucleus, chromosomes, we have to talk about this. And also at the end of the syllabus, you have molecular biology part. So in the molecular biology part, we need to talk about DNA and RNA. Okay, okay. We'll move on to the next one. That is water. Another chemical, we are talking about chemical nature. So I said carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen are the basic elements, and we then talk about macromolecules. Now I am going to talk about another important molecule, that is water. Because water is so important. Water consists about 70% of the body volume. You remember. Can you see? 70% of the body volume is water. Vital for body functions. So it is very important that you drink water regularly. Your body thirsty, thirsty is the body asking water. Body asking water because it is running short of water. You have to immediately provide water, otherwise your body will collapse, right? People collapse because of dehydration. So dehydration can seriously damage the body performance here. This word is blocked here. Performance, right? It is an important solvent. It is an important solvent. Means so many things are dissolved in water in the body. So that water is very, very important. It makes the major part of blood plasma. It makes, otherwise your blood is getting thicker and thicker, and then that is not good. And also water is very important for kidney function. If you want to keep your kidneys function nicely, you need to drink water regularly. Don't forget to drink water regularly. And also cool the body significantly through sweating. You know, sweating. When it is hot, sweating is there. Sweating. How can the sweating cool your body? You know what sweating is, right? And when the sweating is there, you get a lot of water, like water coming out of the body. And when this water evaporate, to evaporate this water, it gets the temperature from your body. From your body temperature, body has to give the heat to evaporate that. When the body give the heat, your body get cooler. That is why the sweating is happening in the body. When it is too hot, we sweating, and because of the sweating, water is coming on top of the skin. To evaporate that water, we give our heat to the water, so the body becomes cooler. That makes the body cooler, right? That is why it says cool the body significantly through sweating. So water is very important, and you should drink water regularly. And then, okay, so that is, we have finished the chemical nature of life. So I told you again, I will say carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. Then we were talking about macromolecules, carbohydrates, fats, proteins, and nucleic acids. The chemical structures I gave. Don't worry too much about chemical structure, but you should know the basic structure. I didn't go to that very difficult chemistry here, but you can understand. You must have done some in your O-level science also, so that this part you know, and the importance of these macromolecules. And then we talk a little bit about water, because it is a very, very important thing. You know, the water molecule is written as H2O, two hydrogen atoms and one oxygen atom, right? Okay, we go to the next topic. That is the hierarchy of the cell, the body, right? Hierarchy of life. The smallest unit is cell, basic unit of life. The upper row shows the plant cells, and lower row shows the hue of the animal cells, right? Plant cells, animal cells. There are differences. We will talk about those things later. What I'm trying to here show you is the cells get together and make tissues, different tissues. Different tissues are made up of different types of cells. They come together and make tissues. These tissues make organs. Now, for example, this is a plant leaf is an organ. Here, our intestine, our gut intestine is given. It is an organ. And these organs and different organs come together and form the organ system. For example, digestive system is an organ system, right? Digestive system, or the alimentary canal. We call alimentary canal is the ahara marga, paddhati ahara marga, or the digestive system. Both are okay. So we make that, right? And here the plant branch of the branch of the plant, right? Then whole organism, the organ systems come together and make the whole organism, so that we get the hierarchy of the life. Cells form different cells, types of cells form a tissue, different types of tissues form an organ, different types of organs form organ systems, different type of organ systems make organisms, right? So in other words, I can show it like this as well. This is an organism, a human. If you enlarge it, then you can see how it is made up of. It is made up of organ systems. This is one example for organ system. If you see how organ systems are made up of, they are made up of organs. This is one organ, a liver, right, in the digestive system. If you look at closely how the liver is made up of, you can see that different tissues have come together. Different tissues have come together. If you closely look at how a tissue is formed, you can see cells have come together. So the basic unit is cell. So we are going to study on cell. The cytology, we call it. Cytology means the study of cells. Cells, we will start to look at into the cell. Now here onwards, we are going to talk about the cells. That is the basic unit of organisms, living things, basic unit of the life. So the cell theory was put forward by Schleiden and Schwann in 1838. In 1838, this cell theory was put forward by Schleiden and Schwann. They said all organisms are composed of one or more cells. 1830s, it is very old days, right? About 200 years back, right? Now at that time when the science was developing, they discovered that all organisms are composed of one or more cells. Cells are the smallest living units of all living organisms. Cells are the smallest living units of all organisms. Cells arise only by division of a previously existing cells. So cells can divide. For example, this is called cell division. Cell division means the division of cells. So these cells is divided into two and to give two separate cells. So in other words, new cells are always coming from previously existing cells. New cells are always coming from previous cells. So these three things they said. All organisms are composed of one or more cells. Cells are the smallest living unit of all living organisms. Cells arise only by division of a previously existing cell. You know how many cells we have in our body. There are about 37 trillion cells in a human body. In the human body, there are about 37 trillion cells. It's a huge amount. Daily, we are producing new cells. That means all cells are divided and produce new cells. And at the same time, we are shedding off so much of cells. So many cells we are shedding off. Right? Okay. Let us look at these cells. Two different cell types basically we get here. Animal cell and the plant cell. Animal cell and plant cell, there are differences. The main difference I have given here, animal cell has no shape. It has no shape because it doesn't have a wall. If it has a wall, it is like this. Wall is a rigid thing. If they are a rigid boundary, then it can't change the shape. It has a fixed shape. So plant cells have a fixed shape or a shape with cell wall. Here in animal cells, no cell wall, so it has no shape basically. And just beneath the cell wall, you find the cell membrane. In the plant cell, animal cell, the outermost layer is the cell membrane. It is called cell membrane. The boundary, it is the cell membrane. Here in plant cells, cell membrane is there, but outside the cell membrane, you find the cell wall. And then cytoplasm is there and nucleus is there. You just think that it is like cytoplasm is like a semi-solid thing. Semi-solid mean like yogurt or curd or like semi-solid, right? It is not solid, not liquid, but semi-solid. And the nucleus is embedded inside in the middle, usually in the middle, but maybe go to a side. But it is the nucleus. Nucleus is it contains the genetic material and it is the very controlling unit. That is a very important thing, a subcellular structure, and we call it the nucleus. It is a controlling unit. So nucleus is here. And in plant cells, there you can see inside the cell a big vacuole. Vacuole is it is a big space, right? it can be filled by fluid. Usually it is filled by fluid. It's a vacuole. So that plant cells, because of that, the nucleus is shifted to one side, right? In addition to that, you all know that plant cells have chloroplasts. Chloroplast, inside the chloroplast, photosynthesis takes place, right? So this is a basic the difference between plant cell and animal cell. Animal cell no shape, and plant cell a shape with cell wall, and you find chloroplast and you find vacuoles. Okay. Then I take these two types of cells, animal cell and the plant cell. We'll go to inside and see what you can see inside here. Now here you can see a ball like this embedded in the middle of the cell. So this is the nucleus. This big one is the nucleus. And the purple color thing here is nucleolus. It is the big one is nucleus, and this is nucleolus. And you find around the nucleus, you find the nuclear membrane, and in the nuclear membrane, you can see pores, small pores like this. So through these pores, molecules can go inside and they can come out as well, right? And then you get organelles. Organelles mean all these subcellular structures in the cytoplasm we call organelles, right? Different organelles, right? What you get endoplasmic reticulum. Endoplasmic reticulum. Endo mean inside, plasmic mean inside the plasm. Reticulum means what? Reticulum means in the Latin word actually. Reticulum is it's like a web like for the single it is called antaplasmia jalika, right? You say these are just these provide the road system through these materials can be transported from one place to another. I will come to those things later. These are called endoplasmic reticula. Sometimes these endoplasmic reticulum is the singular, reticula is the plural. So this singular plural thing is the other thing. This I said when the biology was developing, Latin and Greek words, Greek languages were there in that part of the world. So that we have used. Now not like English, in English, reticulum, then plural should be reticulums. But in Latin, when you say reticulum, then plural is reticula. So endoplasmic reticula. Reticulum is, so then you can find this singular and plural in several of these words. That is why I say mitochondrion, mitochondria, right? So that likewise. So this is you find endoplasmic reticula here, the transport system, and you find the ribosomes, dots-like structures. If these dots-like structures are attached to the endoplasmic reticula, then you call them rough endoplasmic reticulum. If they are not attached, right, so this is a smooth thing, smooth endoplasmic reticulum, canal system but smooth. Here it's a canal system, but outside the canal these ribosomes are attached. So ribosomes are small dots like these ribosomes are free ribosomes. These ribosomes are attached ribosomes. They are attached to the endoplasmic reticulum. And also you find these structures, Golgi apparatus. Golgi apparatus you find. And then these structures, mitochondria and lysosomes you find. And the outer membrane. I told you that the outermost layer of animal cell is the plasma membrane or the cell membrane. Both words you can use, plasma membrane or the cell membrane. So that is there. So now in the plant cell also you can find all these structures, and in addition to the animal cell you can find chloroplast and you can find the vacuole. See, the nucleus is there, nucleolus is there inside. I will come to those things later and tell you exactly more about that. These are the endoplasmic reticula. These are rough ribosomes are attached, and these are not rough, smooth endoplasmic reticula. These are mitochondria. Mitochondrion is the singular, mitochondria is the plural, and these are chloroplasts. That is English, like S if you put for plural. Chloroplast is a singular, chloroplasts is plural, right? And all these things are there as well. But you can see the you get the outside outer layer cell wall. Because of the cell wall, the plant cell has got this like structure. Okay. So I'm going to stop this lecture here and ask you if you have any questions or problems in this. I will continue from this place next time. If you have any questions, you can ask me now. Or if you have any concerns, if you don't want to know anything, yes. Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any questions to ask? Did you understand what I said? Am I too fast?
Yeah.
I have got everything was clear. That is good. You don't have to worry too much about chemical structures and things. But what I'm trying to give you is very basic principles. If the things are very clear, that is then very good, right? So I will have this. This I have recorded, and I will share it with you later if you want to listen to this record. I will talk to your instructor, and uh, I have recorded this so that next lecture I will continue from here, animal and plant cells, and we will see the different types of cells are there. First we need to look at these structures inside the cell. And when you see the different functions of these different structures, they are called organelles. So different functions of these organelles, then you can see how a cell is functioning. When you know how the cell is functioning, basically, that is enough for this level. And then we can go to the nucleus and chromosomes and then how the cells are divided. And that's all you are going to learn at this level, right? We have given teaching material. I think the instructor, your instructor, Ruanti Madam, she has uploaded those things, and you can just have a look. You don't have to, if you don't understand these chemical structures and all, you don't need to go into detail. But this is for supporting additional reading we have provided that. But what I said in this lecture, you have to remember. These things are very important things. What I have taught here. So these things you have to remember, right? You are asking me a question. Is there lecture? Are there lectures tomorrow? That time, sorry, I don't know. My next lecture is in the next week. Okay. Okay, so that it's 1 hour gone. So that thank you very much for listening and joining with me. And okay, good luck to you all. Okay, right. Bye.
Recording stopped.